What is going on, everybody? This is Nazdarachi, just starting up the podcast. This will be our fourth episode. I just want to make sure we have good audio, so everyone in chat, just let us know if you can hear us all right. And I'm going to go ahead and give the floor to our host, Professor Sensei. Go ahead and take over, Prof.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another installment of the Genshin Impact podcast. Today I have with me Darkskin Gaming.
What's up, guys? It's your boy Darkskin, Beto Gang in the building.
We have Gale.
Hello, everybody. What's good? How you guys doing tonight?
Hydros.
What's going on, everybody? How you guys doing?
And Nastarachi's already introduced himself today. So the big thing we're going to be covering is going to be one of the developer letters that we've got out. It's going to have a bunch of information on that, and then we'll be going to the new content that's just released. And so jumping right into it, Gale, you want to take the floor there?
Yeah, I can go over it quickly. I'm gonna just wrap through the points, and then we can tackle each point as we go along, I guess. So let's start off with the first point. That was, or the first 2 points kind of interrelate to each or correlate to each other. So I'll just go through them. The first point was that they're decreasing the resin requirement in the battle pass from 1600 to 1200. So as you guys know, over the week they ask you to use up like 1600 resin, which if you use fragile resin, it is possible to accomplish. Otherwise, you're more than likely to falter at that specific step. So they are planning on reducing that to 1200. I'm pretty sure this is all part of the 1.1 update, as mentioned in the letter. And then the second point, which is kind of correlating to the resin decreasing in the resin requirement, is that the max resin is being uncapped to 160 from 120. The third point is keybind and controller release, or well, technically keybind and controller binding. So you can now set up your keyboard and controller layout the way you want it to be, which is a thumbs up. I know a lot of people that I personally speak to have been begging for a controller setup, allowing them to change the controller setup specifically. So that's a thumbs up from my end, of course. Then the fourth point is that we can now filter artifacts based on their attribute, which is, again, a huge positive because I know a lot of people want to set it up according to their main stats or maybe their type, maybe what they do. So if they're HP orientated or if they're attack orientated or so on and so forth. Finally, the last 2 points are mainly covering around the teleport item, which we've already covered in last week's podcast, where you can place a teleport point. It'll last there for about 7 days before you'll have to replace it somewhere else or in the same place, depending on your requirement. And finally, depending on what you've equipped in terms of gear, you can have a small character icon in the bottom left to know which characters equipped what gear. So let's start off with the resin requirement and max resin increase. What do you guys think? Let's start off with you, Darkskin. How do you feel about this?
Well, about the resin being the resin being reduced on the battle pass is a really good thing because, like you said, a lot of people aren't going to be getting that off of just playing normally. They're going to have to do resin resets, so they're going to have to use fragile resin, etc. So I think that's a really good decrease. As far as the 160, I had a very big problem. Like, this doesn't really change anything, in my opinion, in the sense of, well, for most people that like play a lot, because there's no difference between me like using 120 resin, waiting for 40 resin, and then using 40 resin, or just using 160. It's kind of the same thing. Mm-hmm. No, I get, like, if you don't play the game that often or that much, you getting on the game and using 160 and then having a longer time for it to fill is beneficial. But I feel like a majority of players, this is more so just giving us a bigger cup without giving us anything to drink type of deal.
I think for people that can only get on like once a day, this opens that window so they still feel like they're maximizing their resin usage without worrying about, it overloading. Because right now, I'm like you. I never really hit that 120 cap. I wake up in the morning, I'll do a run of a dungeon or two, and then I hit my stream and I'll finish them out, right? But I guess you're working the typical 9 to 5, you get home, and you're only playing once a day. This is probably a pretty good change that you're appreciating.
Yeah, I completely find the battle pass decrease great. I think it's a very good change they needed to introduce, especially for the weekly battle pass. I don't think the battle pass is hard to complete anyways from 1 to 50, especially if you start it from day 1 or whenever you unlock the battle pass early on. But it's still something that, especially if you start, let's say, midway through the battle pass, or midway through the battle pass period, I should say, it's very, very nice to have that decrease automatically. You can complete all weeklies 100% of the time. Otherwise, there would be that one weekly mission that you just couldn't do unless you actually refilled. Um, but I agree with what Darkskin and Prof said regarding the resin system. I like to think of it like as a band-aid over what is an open wound. Basically, it's a good idea. It's a good thought, and like I appreciate them for actually doing something immediately, and quite frankly, like within like what, it's been 3 weeks now since the release, or 4. So it is, I wouldn't say completely immediate, but it is a surprisingly quick change to the resin system. However, I do hope this isn't where they stop, because there's still a lot more problems. As mentioned, you're instead of waiting 16 hours for your resin to completely max out, you're now waiting for 24 hours, which is much longer, and it's beneficial to those playing once a day. But as mentioned, as you play more and more, you're not getting the benefits that they want you to have. So there's still some changes that need to be made. For example, reducing the restoration time, and stuff like that, or just providing more fragile resin, I guess, is an alternative as well. But yeah, that's just my thoughts as well.
Yeah, I tend to agree with what everybody said. I'd like to point out that, and this isn't a huge deal, but you will still have to refresh at least twice to get the missions done. And that's still insanely better than what it was before. But using 160 times 7 puts you at 1120, so you'd be 80 resin below your weekly goal. So definitely much more feasible. And I also agree with Darkskin Gaming when he mentioned the analogy about the cup being, bigger but still empty. Like, this change is great, don't get me wrong. Like, anything that they do to address this issue is going to be helpful. But realistically, you squeeze in one extra, mid-tier boss fight and one extra domain per day. Again, like I said, that's helpful, but I feel like this change, coinciding with, maybe 1 or 2 days out of the week they pick as, special days to be, half off your costs of resin on events, and then comboing that 1-2 punch, I think, would be a really good way of tackling the current system. You already have Sunday as a day of the week where more supplies are available, but at a reduced drop rate because there's just more things you can get at once. Maybe if they found some way to do that with resin costs as well for maybe every Saturday or something like that. I don't know. That would be really cool. But with that being said, I do think that this is pretty much all positive. It means that they are definitely listening to feedback. And even though it's not an overwhelming change, I still stick with the philosophy that the game is so new and the content in it is fairly light because it's so new that we can still expect this to change over time as more regions show up, as more things to do show up. Once they actually start fleshing out more of the actual mid to end game content available in the game, I'm sure this system will continue to change. So I really don't have anything negative to say about it yet. I mean, it can be moderately irritating that so much of your progression is tied to resin. But again, I feel like that's mainly a side effect of just the game being so new, and they don't want you to rush through every single piece of available content in the game before they start to, trickle feed in some more stuff to do. So honestly, I think it's a good change, and I really don't have anything too negative to say about the resin system right now, as long as they, keep it growing and evolving with the game as the game changes.
Hydros, do you have anything to add, or we're going to go to the next point?
Y'all pretty much got what I wanted to say. Is the decrease in the battle pass is great. Anything to at least help players get their weekly missions a lot quicker, always a great thing. Just the cap from 120 to 160 in the resin. As everyone else has been saying, it's it's like trying to put a band-aid on an open wound that just keeps going and flowing out. It's just, especially for massive players that want to, consistently grind over and over and over again, mainly whales and more active players, not so much the free to play and the little light spenders here and there. Everyone that wants to do their resin more often, it's not really much of an increase, but hopefully this is a start to where, they start to do more over time. So I'll see what they do later. But as of right now, it's all right. But we'll see.
All right. Well, something I'm personally pretty excited for is the keyboard and controller release, where they're going to let us change the key bindings. I think that's going to be really fun, especially if you're trying to do any kind of cancels or just trying to make your quality of life or pressing your skills easier. I've actually, it's funny enough, it's in the game right now. I don't know how I opened it, but when I was starting the game once, I was holding some keys down and I opened up a menu that allowed me to change the controllers one time, but I've never been able to reopen it. But this will be nice going forward when they add this. Gail, anybody else care about this or?
Personally, I've already gotten used to the controller, or well, I use keyboard and mouse. So I've kind of gotten used to it now, but there would be like some changes maybe in the future as I use more in different units, and I feel like it's faster to react to certain keys that I might prefer using, and so on and so forth. It would be nice to switch them over. Um, but no, I completely back this change. I think a lot of players I know are kind of confused by the layout because they use, especially with the controller, more than the keyboard and mouse. I think they're so used to some other buttons that being able to change it back to what it usually is in most games is going to be a huge plus. But for me, I think it's always a good thing. Letting players be able to customize the way they want to play is always a huge plus to any game. So good change, I think, and definitely a needed introduction.
Yeah, I agree on both fronts. I agree that it's good to have, but I also agree that they took a little bit too long to do it, and now I do play with controller. And the main thing that I think most everybody was annoyed with was that the confirm and the cancel buttons are flip-flopped compared to like PS4 or Xbox normally. So, it's more like Nintendo Switch, where the button on the far right is cancel and the button on the bottom is confirm on PS4. That's flip-flopped. Now cancel is, opposite. So it took like a week or two, but I've gotten used to it now. So I don't even think that I will remap my buttons now that I have the option, because I'm already, like Gail said, used to it. But it is always good. Extremely so, because, considering all of us, we're all, healthy adults, but there's probably some people that want to play this game that have some type of physical impairments. Maybe they need special accessibility, some disabled folks. So the option to have this is nothing but good. Like, it'll bring good to the game, because people that might not be as fortunate as us in the gaming world will also be able to hopefully tailor the experience in a way that'll have it work for them too. So just considering everybody, it's definitely a good change, even if I've gotten to the point where it's not super helpful for me anymore.
Well, I mean, that's about all. Oh, Dark, you got something?
Oh, well, I was just gonna piggyback that. Like, for MiHoYo, there's like no downside to like doing this, and I 3 or 4 people I play with almost every day that are on PlayStation, and they often talk about like the control scheme of like the controller and how it's just wonky. Some buttons are like weird to use, so like being able to map it would just, there's no downside to it at all.
No, I agree. This is a great quality of life feature. I can't see a negative to this.
I'll say one thing though that I'm looking forward to, which they haven't yet addressed in this. They still need to bring controllers to mobile. That's something I still feel should come. I don't personally play on mobile, but I know the mobile layout can be finicky, especially for a game of this, the type of game it is. It does need controller setup. I know not a lot of people may have controllers set up for their mobile phones, or even are willing to buy a controller for their mobile phones. But for those who have it and have the ability to, they need to introduce mobile controller setup for mobiles as soon as possible, I feel, as well.
Oh, I definitely would use that with my tablet all day. All right, well, let's go to the next one. And actually, Dark, you can probably give a good insight on how much this would affect you. They're going to have us be able to filter the artifacts by their attributes.
Okay, so I've been grinding artifacts for a while, and the biggest, like the most tedious thing is trying to feed artifacts because you don't know which are which.
Yes. Oh my god.
Yeah,
one's
you
like
don't know which
9.
ones are. I've found a trick to figure it out, but it's still tedious. So like I'm doing Electro Dungeon, so I'll have like 15 of the same electro cup. And so like you literally either don't feed it or you got to do it a certain way. And how I would do it is they stay in order. So like say the first and the second one are like good rolls, but like 3 through 5 aren't. So then you just got to make sure you go through and you click through. It's so tedious to do it.
Yeah.
So being able to filter it, and apparently we're getting lock as well. Being able to lock it in the future, I'm not sure. But being able to filter it by the stats you have is just going to be so amazing. Like I talked about with Epic 7, you're able to filter like main stat, substat of whatever you want. And that, as far as their gear system, was just like super amazing. So this is like one of the best quality of life. Like I love it.
I agree with him for all the reasons he said, and then I don't know if he specifically mentioned this or not, but when you're physically upgrading a relic, like say you have a Berserker's Rose, and you're trying to feed in a bunch of a legendary one, you're trying to feed in a bunch of purple ones, and they're all level 0. As you're picking which ones you want to feed in, you can't see the stats of the ones that you're sacrificing. Yeah. So if I have like 5 Berserker's Roses and only one of them has the attack percent buff and I want to save it, you have to like go and make that one like level 1 before you go to feed in the other ones to the other one. Otherwise you'll never be able to tell which one is which when you're feeding them in, which can then lead you to accidentally feed the wrong ones in. So having the lock feature and being able to maybe see the stats, like quickly see the stats before you feed in artifacts to other ones, I think that would be a huge like one-up, like because like he said, it's a very tedious system. Even not even so much for storing them and equipping them, but just when it comes to combining them and which ones you're going to sacrifice, that becomes where it really kicks in.
Well, I also imagine down the road we're going to have just a whole collection of artifacts, and maybe I'm wanting to make a crit build one day, and finding all my crit pieces at once would be pretty handy in my opinion.
Yeah, they've already mentioned that they're going to be introducing 5 sets and 3 sets, because we already have 4 sets and 2 sets and 1 sets in the game, but they're going to be adding the 5 set bonus, so you have to wear all 5 of the same set, and they're going to be adding 3 set bonus sets also. So it's going to become increasingly complex as time goes on, so being able to sort it well will definitely be helpful.
Yeah, no, definitely, it's not mentioned in the dev discussion forum letter, whatever they're calling it. I still am confused as to what they've exactly called it. I think it's developers discussion. We do know from the 1.1 testers that there is a lock feature coming for 1.1. I don't know why they haven't mentioned it in here when they literally have 2 whole questions regarding artifacts and gear. But no, I completely concur with everything mentioned so far, in that we do need a lock system, which I'm glad is coming, and we do need a way to sort out artifacts, because at this point I'm tired of seeing the same defense set on like 50 different animo damage gear. Literally, I'm getting tired of seeing it at this point.
Legion with that $100 donation, bro. You are absolutely insane, dude. Legion as well on Twitch, like, supported like 1/3 of our whole Twitch growth and activity so far, along with Zephyr. So the man is the MVP. Just had to break up the chat to throw that out there.
All right. Well, I think we pretty well exhausted the artifact topic.
Well, there's a sub part of it, because you're going back to artifacts for the next question.
Well, artifacts in the discussion, I believe it's it will come into that. We got the Waypoint teleporter item. So
yeah, that's basically the same thing. We kind of covered it last week, as I mentioned earlier on. Effectively, they've just doubled down and confirmed it officially that we're getting that teleport item where we can basically place a marker. For example, if I want to, like I mentioned last week, the perfect example would be I want to place it on the top of the Guyan Stone Forest area, because I want to either go to Beto's boat, or if I want to go to the Geo Hypostases, rather than going all the way from the start of the like islands to fighting all the monsters or dodging them to try and get to the Hypostases. So they basically confirmed it. Like we mentioned last week, it'll be active for 7 days. But once those 7 days pass, you'll have to replace it wherever you want, or back in the same location, basically. So just a bit of inconvenience in that regards, but at least we know it's coming, and at least it exists, and at least we have we can place a teleport waypoint wherever we want realistically.
Yeah. So like I said, we covered this last week, and there's not really too much to say about it. It's just a nice quality of life feature. Another little small quality of life feature that'll pretty much wrap this up is that we got a small character icon on equipped gear. Well, that's just much more. That's going to help us with the one quick glance to see what we're using and who's using it. I can't really see that being too big of a deal. It's not quite like being able to lock items or see their stats, but I don't know. You guys feel like that's doing something I'm missing right now?
Well, at first I thought it wasn't going to be a big deal until I pulled Kaching and I started building Kaching. And then I started switching my Beto and Kaching sets with each other. And then I ended up wanting to switch those sets with a different character. So like knowing which characters, like when you're switching sets, like are certain pieces, is actually really helpful because I had to click through like 4 or 5 different pieces to see who had what on each of them before I was able to switch them so I could know which builds. So like just knowing what character has what, if you're trying to like interchange like your sets and builds is pretty nice, in my opinion.
I haven't found this one to be as frustrating personally because whenever I go into the artifacts menu, like you don't actually have to physically select them. You just kind of mouse over them, and in the bottom it shows you who's wearing it. And then if you forget which one is on your character, you just switch your artifact type and then switch back, and it always starts you with your cursor over the artifact that your character is currently wearing. So I haven't had too much of a problem with this, but coming from like Dragon Ball Legends and stuff, all the quality of life changes eventually do add up together to promote a much better experience. So I'm not going to poo-poo on really any of their efforts to improve the subsystems and organization of the game at all. For me, not quite as useful, but again, I'm not being negative whatsoever. It's going to be helpful regardless.
I think it really just comes down to if you're using like, I think initially for like myself, I don't have units that interchange sets. So like Darkskin said, if I did have like, technically I was planning on doing that for the Animo Traveler and Venti, but I decided to just make 2 different sets for them. But yeah, no, for sure. Like I agree. Like if you're planning on switching between 2 sets, between characters, super useful. But technically, if you're just running like a core 4 or different sets on everybody, then it's not really an amazing thing. But again, like Nas said, you can add it, adds up, and it's fantastic that way.
All right. Well, I think the last thing on this little letter is going to be the 1.1 test is over, and they are selecting people for 1.2. And before you were mentioning something about the scale, sorry to keep picking on you, but you want to close us out with the 1.2 mentions?
Yeah, no, I can quickly run this through. Currently over on the Chinese version, 1.1 is over now officially, or the beta test for it is over. They're going to spend, I think, around 2 weeks to, make adjustments and whatnot. From what I know from a personal source, quote unquote, they're still carrying on the 1.1 test over on the NA version of the game, as far as I know. So potentially we should be seeing it. We should be seeing like proper information coming out on what happened towards the end of the 1.1 test from the Chinese side of the game. But yeah, no, it's looking very interesting that they're already jumping into 1.2. They're already covering it. Like it's kind of insane that they're already selecting people for 1.2, and they'll probably start 1.2's testing around, I guess, when 1.1 launches.
Yeah, that's really exciting. I cannot wait to see the next batch of leaks coming out from 1.2. All right, well, we'll go into the next second of content, and it's going to be the new content we got this week, being the Mona story and the traveling merchant event. I did the merchant event. That was pretty quick, but Nas, you did the Mona story, right? You want to give us your intake on that?
The Mona story, which unfortunately I don't actually have any pictures of to show the stream to support anything, but it was very similar. If you guys have already played the Klee sub-story, the Jean sub-story, the Venti sub-story, very similar to those in spirit. Basically, you exchange one of the purple keys that you get using your daily commission quests to then unlock I would say it's about a 3 to 4 part little mini quest. Not going to spoil any of the details, but you basically do about, I don't know, say like 30 to 45 minutes of adventuring with Mona. Kind of dives into her backstory, explains her personality a little bit, and it doesn't have any impact really on the overall narrative of the game, but I really like these little mini quests because I came into this game, with a brand new, fresh outlook on this IP. I have no idea who any of these characters are, and at first, I was pretty sure I wouldn't really care about them at all, and I would just play the game and mostly ignore the characters. But I've found that over time, I'm actually starting to really start to connect with them and enjoy the lore. And I think a lot of it has to do with all these little bells and whistles that the developers have added to really let you get to know the characters, to like them, not like them, to help see if you would be interested in summoning for them. That's a great aspect. Not only these little mini quests, but also the trial dungeons give you a great sense of how the characters can play before you spend your money. So I'm all for stuff like that. And again, you get a little bit of experience, probably like, I don't know, if you're in the 40s, you probably get like a third of a level's worth of experience, which is always helpful. And I say they should keep doing these. At the very end of all of them, the Gene, the Venti, et cetera, all of them at the bottom say to be continued. So I'm definitely hoping for them to expand on these, not only for the extra resources, but just to, again, get to know the characters that much better. So I really enjoyed the Diluc one as well in terms of the story for them. I'm not going to spoil any of them, but yeah, they are all quite fun little, I'd say about 30 to 40 minute adventures that you can just do to kill some time and get some EXP.
Gale or Dark Hydrus, y'all care to elaborate?
I haven't done the quest, but like Nos said, I'm down for interludes. Like, I think having come from FGO and them having like interludes for a lot of characters, it's always nice to, especially because FGO is such a story-driven game. I'm a huge fan of like story and stuff, so being able to do it is so nice, and being able to explore the characters' thoughts, personality, like Nas mentioned, and stuff like that is always a thumbs up. I'm looking forward to seeing more on the 4-star characters as well, considering we've mainly tackled only 5-star units so far. So looking forward to seeing some of the other 4-stars we still have to get, especially from the Mondstadt region, like Noel, Fischl, characters like that. But yeah, no, just adding on as well, like some of the NPCs you talk to as well, just generally, some of their stories are like wild. Like some of them have just dark backstories, and it's just weird to see so much detail with some of these characters and such realism as well at times.
All right, well, that pretty much covers it. And the other thing, the traveling merchant event. Now, it seems to be you're just going to be trading items every day to get items back from the merchant. Am I missing anything here, or it's pretty much that simple?
It's a very simple. Yeah, it's very simple event. I mean, it's free Primo Gems. I think if you get all 7, I think, or 8 boxes, it's around 240, 210 Primo Gems over the week, which is really nice. And a lot of materials as well. I wouldn't say a lot of materials, but a decent chunk of materials you can get as well, which is always nice. Basically, if just to give an idea on the pattern on how he approaches, this was done in the beta. So he effectively will go from Mondstadt all the way down to Leeway Harbor. He'll just stop at every major location along the way. So he's easy to locate, very, very easy to find. They literally give you the clue on which location he's at. So it's pretty simple, straightforward. And yeah, more often than not, today was 10 mushrooms. I think tomorrow will be like 10 sweet flower or 10 matsuakas, or whatever, however they're pronounced. So just 10 of each item as you go along. Nothing too crazy.
Yeah, the good thing about this for most players that are fairly well established is you should just have most of this stuff on deck in your inventory already, so you really don't even have to do any fetching. You just literally walk up to him, give him what he wants, and you get some free stuff. So again, it's like, again, for the Legends players, it's like the Z-Power event they have right now going on, the Snake Way thing, or it's like the Jocko Galactic Patrol. It's just something they added to the game that's completely extra, where you just get free stuff for almost no effort involved whatsoever. So again, I really don't complain about stuff like that.
Also, I'd like to point out, like, I'm enjoying the fact, and I like the fact that they are also adding battle pass missions with these events, because it makes it a lot easier for players. Because this is like you just log in 5 days in a row, make sure you give your items to the merchant, and you get like 2 levels from the battle pass, which is so useful, especially if you have bought the battle pass as well. It's just a good thing for them to add, for sure.
Yeah, this is something that they didn't have to add. Like, probably no one would have even noticed if they never took the time to put this into the game. So it's really just all service to the player base. Like, there's no money involved. There's no real effort involved, provided you, again, have collected most of this stuff already in your adventures. But I like stuff like this. I mean, this one is maybe not as fun as some of the other ones that they could have added because you don't really do anything. You don't go fight or kill anything. But again, there's going to be plenty of little events like this that they add. Some of them are going to be real easy, like this one, and some of them might end up being a little bit more annoying, like the cooking one that we've heard that's coming soon, where you can't fast travel, you can't fall, you can't take damage, you got to run from one place to another. So compared to something like that, I'll take this all day, with no complaints.
Imagine if one of the battle pass missions is like complete 10 perfect cooking delivery missions. I'd want to commit at that point.
Yeah, I mean, unless I like a little.
Stop! Don't give them ideas, bro. No,
hopefully they're all like
ideas. Stop.
300 meters or 300 yards or less or whatever their measurement of distance is. But if they go up to like 500, 600, 700, 1,000 meters or distance units, that's going to be a real pain in the butt.
Travel 10 miles.
Oh my god.
Just the easy 10 miles.
Go all the way from Mondstadt to Leeway. Have fun. Jesus, that would be
you literally have to do a lap
painful.
around the entire map, go in the ocean, go to the islands, come all the way back, go to Mondstadt, go all the way back to Liu. You just gotta do all that.
Yeah, no.
Hopefully, give us some primos.
Hopefully, as I mentioned last week, fingers crossed that
you
cooking.
Get 5 primos.
No, I think it's like 40 for doing like 3 cooking deliveries in a day. I think it is. So, I hope it's not too far away, like I mentioned last week with the cooking delivery, because Jesus Christ, walking all the way to Mondstadt from Leeway will be a huge pain if they decide to do that.
All right, well, let's segue into our next section, and it's like, should character skins be added to the game? We were talking about things they don't need to add. Personally, I feel like this is something that they don't need to, but they kind of do, because I'm finding some characters that I really love and enjoy, and I would really love to see them kind of give me more to do with them. I feel like the first step to that is giving me some more character options for the designs.
I feel like character skins, well, depending on how they do it, would be really good for the game. In the sense of, well, obviously, we fall in love with all these characters and their stories and how they play and what they do. I mean, everyone knows my favorite character is Beto. I literally go to her ship to summon, right? Like, I won't summon unless I'm like at the top of her ship. Like, it's just like all these characters. So like, if we were to get outfits or costumes or skins for the characters, whether it be free or paid, depending on how they do it, like I said, I think it would be a really cool thing. It would entice a lot of different people. Like, if they wanted to do Halloween skins or Christmas skins or whatever. So I think it would be good.
Bikini Beto? Bikini Beto.
Man, I didn't want to say it, but hey, I'm just saying.
I think it'll be a dope idea. I don't know what I'd prefer more, whether it would be seasonal units or just straight up outfits / skins. Maybe if it was linked, I just hope it's not like the vein of how Grand Cross did, where you got stats bonuses, or like
not that.
You had to use gems or to buy. Maybe gems is, I guess, fine, but not like pay real life money for it. I'd personally back the idea of them putting it behind, say, events. Like, for example, the whole reputation-based system, and we're getting 2 free gliders, basically a blue one for doing the Mondstadt one, and then the orange one for doing the Leeway one. If we can have something like that, where we just get skins via events, perfect. That's, I think, the ideal thing. But if they have to do, make it a monetization way, I think limiting it to just, buy it using Primogems, say, maybe, I don't know, what would be a good amount? 500, 1,000? 500 to 1,000? I don't know about you guys. But something like that per outfit, I guess. And this would be the whole outfit, not like pieces like Grand Cross as well. Like, I don't want that.
Yeah.
Putting outfits in the battle pass, I think would be a good idea. Like the free battle pass, you just had to grind for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, would be nice.
That would be a good idea, actually. Putting it in the battle pass, like most games do that. They put skins and stuff in the battle pass, like Fortnite, Warzone. Yeah, that would be cool.
I don't know. It's a very potentially complex feature, and I'm not sure in what capacity exactly I would like to see it come in. because I know I've heard y'all talk a lot about things like Grand Cross, where cosmetics actually have an impact on the experience. Like they have stats and other buffs or whatever associated to them. In that regard, I don't really think I would like to see that in this game necessarily, because I feel like it would just end up on banners and it'd be something else you'd have to summon for. Like, if they just sold cosmetics that were purely just for looks and had no functional impact on the game, and then that somehow allowed them to ease up on the rates a little bit because they were making adequate money from cosmetics, then heck yeah, I am all for that. But if it's another element to the game that's very stat and RNG dependent and very expensive, I don't know if I would be fully in support of that, unless it just brings like the overall summon rates up to like a solid 1% maybe. Like if they add this new item type and now it's 1% for 5 stars to drop across the board, then that could be cool too. I guess it really just depends on how they implement it, how much it directly affects gameplay, and how expensive it overall is before I give a full double thumbs up or thumbs down. That's kind of my my ultimate opinion on the matter.
Another thing I would like to point out is that if you guys look into when you go into the character profiles and stuff, right? They have this they have the friendship thing, right? They can do something with that. Maybe once you hit like friendship 5 or friendship 10, you get like an outfit for free, basically. An alternate skin, maybe like it just changes the color of the skin, maybe like Amber wears black and red, like invert the colors or something like that, maybe. Or actually make a completely fresh outfit, because right now the friendship thing, apart from telling you more stories in their profile, doesn't do much. So that's something that can provide the skins as well.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah, if you like max level a character out and you earn another cosmetic, oh dude, that'd be A plus right there.
Because my Beto's friendship level 8.
Oh, fair enough.
Oh, you're about to have the nameplate.
I think my Diluc is somewhere around there. That man is never not in my party, so
that would be super cool.
So I would really like when you get to friendship 10 or something, you unlock a challenge dungeon, and if you beat that, you can unlock maybe Beto has a special sword, and now you've unlocked that sword skin to use on every character. So, stuff like that would be really cool.
Yeah, because I know FGO, coming back to FGO, they have this special thing where once you hit bond level 10, which is kind of like friendship level 10, you use them more, you add more bond level points. They give you a special like craft essence, which is like an equipable item, like kind of like a support or something specifically for that character. So like you said, Prof, that's actually a good idea. They could make a special domain like, oh, you've reached friendship level 10, go and do this, you'll get special items or something. That would be cool. I back that. Yeah, that's a good idea, actually.
You got anybody else want to add something before we move on to the next section? All right. Well, we got this Klee login event. Now, we got a note here from Miguel that it's pretty cute, and I have to agree. I thought it was a nice little thing to log into. I once again, this kind of stuff is exactly what I personally appreciate. One, if you want to scratch that summon itch, this gets you right to the edge there, and I think you really should be able to log into your dailies and get a summon every day if you're free to play. And this helps you get closer to that. Plus, it helps you drive you into the lore. The current banner that's out, I really like it. Nas, do you have any opinions on it, or?
I love it. Like people have mentioned, the chat mentioned the actual context of the letters they give are pretty neat. Klee is a pretty adorable character, even though I don't preferentially have any need to summon for my team builds. I still like her. I also like that they brought back the regular daily login, the Seize the Day event, to kind of go along with it. It's just a lot of free stuff for people. I think it's kind of the devs' way of showing appreciation for the community, but working it into a format that is like canonical and fits into the lore of the game. And I find that to be, really appealing. It doesn't break the immersion, and it's the second time they've done it now. If you remember, they did it with Zing Q on his birthday. We got some mail and some gifts from him too. So I would expect this to be a fairly reliable thing we'll see in the game, not only for new characters, but when characters get birthdays or when there's some special event going on that the devs want to just reward the community for. I would expect a lot of neat little touches like this where we get cool stuff. And there's still 2 more left too, so we'll still have some more incoming freebies because it's a little 5-part run they're doing. I do like how they added that in the title, like how many parts or how many rewards there's going to be. It's like 3 out of 5 is just included in the title, so it's very easy to keep track of that and make sure you've claimed everything. So all in all, just like the little Mona side quest, I'm all for stuff like this with zero complaints.
Yeah, one thing I'll also add on is fragile resin per day.
Yeah, that's great.
I think again, like I said, they are listening. I just feel they can't fully throw it at us right now because, as mentioned by you, Nas, they want to kind of hold people back from just trying to rush through the game like some of us have, getting to AR 40 plus already, within 4 weeks. I think they're kind of trying to drip feed everything in, and this is also a good way of doing it. Like, just give us 1 fragile or 2 fragile resins per day, allows us to restore it back to full, basically, if they do 2 a day. Stuff like that is always appreciated, and like Prof said, 100 primos a day is never gonna go amiss.
All right. Well, let's segue into our last section before questions, and that's this referral event we just got, and it's a good idea to have stuff like this in the game. I'll tap Gale again, but really quick, as long as referral events and any kind of stuff that takes place outside the game that requires community efforts or you involving friends and all that, as long as the content isn't exclusive to there, I never really mind these kinds of features. Like typically you'll see in MMOs, they'll give like a free pet or an outfit that's exclusive to the referral events. It usually annoys me because I kind of want to get a hold of that too, but this seems to be pretty solid. Gale, do you have more info on it?
Yeah, from what I know, it's like I'm not sure if it's per person. That I haven't discovered yet. I'm not gonna lie. If somebody knows the exact details, that would be appreciated. But from what I know and my understanding is that once you refer to somebody and they reach an AR of 10, I think, AR 10 or AR 15, I think it's AR 10. You basically get around 180 Primogems, 10,000 Mora, and an artifact. Now, I also do not know what artifact they give out, because I assume it'll be something really basic. I highly doubt they'll give out like a 5-star gladiator longings or something like that. I mean, I wish that would be so nice. I'd send out referral links to like 50,000 people probably, but yeah, I think it's a cool idea. Thankfully, it's like you said, Prof, nothing that is like, rare, like a special like glider or something. It's nice to get like primo gems for it, but again, we don't know if it's like a one-time thing or can you use it multiple times, because some people may take advantage of it. They could easily, potentially, and this is a bit of a cheesy way to do it, potentially create multiple accounts and then just kind of refer it that way, or create different email accounts and do it that way. It's a cheesy way of doing it, but it's possible.
Yeah, again, it's another system where they're just adding. I mean, this one is clearly targeted at trying to get the player base as big as humanly possible, but it's just more free stuff, and it doesn't require too much effort on your part. You just have to get the people involved, and then they play on their own, and you're good to go. So with that in mind, I don't see a problem with it. Like, we know the game is doing extremely well. Of course, they're going to want to reach as wide of an audience as possible. And I much prefer something like this than how offensively in your face like Raid Shadow Legends is about their means of trying to get new players. So, yeah, again, I'm not really going to complain about it. The only thing I do complain about stuff like this is, I mean, you have to have friends that are reliable. Like, they actually have to play the game for you to get much benefit out of it. So, fickle people aren't going to help you out too much. But, hey, I mean, even if you get a few successful rewards out of it, it's stuff you wouldn't have had otherwise. So, again, there's really nothing to complain about.
Not gonna lie, I thought you were about to say you need to have friends for it and just stop there.
Get some friends.
I mean, it's a valid point, to be honest. Oh man, but yeah, no, I completely agree. Otherwise, in that sense as well, we thought you would need friends who are reliable, or you need yourself to create like 50 different accounts to just get to AR10, which is another pain, and you'd rather not want to do it unless you're that dedicated.
All right. Taking a break, or we're going to go right into the questions?
Does anybody segue into, unless y'all want to take a break? But I think
no, I was
questions, so we can just kind of segue right into it.
I was just gonna add, does anybody have any topics they want to talk about in terms of what's happening with the game or anything?
Nah, we pretty much covered it for me.
I personally want to say then, if we're just adding a note, I finally hit that wall where I'm running out of stuff to do in the game. I find that I'm not bored with it at all. I'm getting a lot of feedback of people saying they're kind of getting burnt out. It seems to be happening to them around 25 to 30, right? And that seems to be when people decide if they like the game or not. But I don't know. I'm really enjoying it still. For me, like I mentioned, for the resin increase we touched on earlier, if they increased it, like we could hit that 160 quicker, then we'd be almost at that sweet spot. They just need to give me some repeatable co-op content to do with my buddies, and I'm good to go here.
Yeah, I don't really want to whine or complain too much because, like I said, I have a feeling that a lot of the quote-unquote issues with resin and that type of stuff is just, again, because the game is so new. I feel like it will as well grow as the game continues to grow. But for right now, it is a little frustrating that so much of the content is kind of gated around that, and that, there really is nothing else to do in the game, period, besides farm for materials that you need and do like common chest runs. So I find myself actually able to kind of play some other games, but still get a nice casual amount of playing Genshin in on, a daily basis to get, every day you want to use at least the 120 resin you have available currently, and then you want to do, all your daily commissions. Outside of that, if you farm a couple resources towards getting one specific character at one step further, you can pretty much call it a day once you hit this time period in Genshin. So I do have faith that it's not going to last like this for much longer. Like, they're going to start, fairly regularly adding stuff to do. So, again, I'm not upset or complaining, but that would be the biggest thing that I've noticed that could become an issue over time if they don't, pace the content well in the game. So for right now, it's given me an opportunity to chill out a little bit while still getting stuff done and still enjoying the game. But that, I think, is just kind of an issue with me having rushed this far and this fast through the game. I don't think many of the casual players or the general larger part of the player base played it quite as seriously as we did in the podcast here. So there's probably still plenty left for most people to do. So I think we're kind of the anomaly, in that situation. So I'm willing to tough it out, stay positive, and to wait for more content to come to the game. I know it's going to get to a point where I'm overwhelmed at some point. So,
yeah,
it's just a matter of time.
No, I agree. I think I mentioned this to a couple of friends. I was like, 1.1, I'm going to let it slide kind of, because they have a development plan. They're gonna it's probably set in stone. They're not gonna change drastically. I mean, I'm happy that they've addressed the issues already, quite maybe not in the best format, but they have addressed it in some format, with obviously increasing the resin to 160 and decreasing the BP requirement to 1200 and so on and so forth. I am willing to give them some more time. 1.3, I guess, is where I'll be like, all right, this is your time to shine. Now, have you been listening to us, kind of? Because we've, again, one thing I also appreciate them doing is, I think we've gotten, I don't know how many surveys have you guys received, because I know it's random from what I've heard. But I've received 2 surveys. Make sure you fill out your surveys. That they listen to what we're saying. They definitely do. There's no other reason why they'd be sending out 50 different surveys to a lot of people. So I 100% say fill the surveys. At the end, they ask you what other things you need. Address your complaints there. It is very important you do so. But yeah, apart from that, again, just make sure you fill your surveys. Hopefully they listen to us, and yeah, just give them some time. I think 1.1 and 1.2 may not be as amazing as we may hope it to be, but again, long run, this is not just a game that's just it's been in development for 2 years. They've been planning this for a while now. They're not gonna stop here. And if you look at other gacha games as well, like Dragalia and Masters, they didn't just change up their tunes within the first month. They still had a lot of problems in the first 3-4 months. It took them a long time to get going properly to be the games they are now. Obviously, Masters has gone a bit downhill, but that's besides the point. But yeah, just treat it like any other gacha game, in that it needs some time. It's a games as a service. It'll improve over time, hopefully, at least, if the developers listen to us.
Yeah, I have a lot of faith, and at the very minimum, like people in the chat have mentioned, the game is free, And it's definitely something that will carry you into the release of Cyberpunk 2077, at which point if you start playing that, which we will be covering on the channel, just to give everyone in the audience a heads up, we're going to be doing hopefully a good bit of content and work with that game also. And this is definitely something that will carry you towards that, and then when that comes out, if you're balancing that or maybe some of the other holiday release games, then maybe the pace of the content in this game actually won't come across as so bad. Like, right now, it's extra noticeable because there's literally like not too many other fun games that are out right now. There's nothing that I'm really investing too much time into, which leaves me with a lot of extra time to play Genshin. But come the holiday seasons, you know, the new console releases, next gen, all that stuff, new games to play, I feel like it'll be much easier to, I don't know, budget time and get fulfillment out of, you know, a couple different games we'll be juggling around just because there'll be a lot of really good options out. So regardless, this game has got a pretty bright future as long as it doesn't even have to go out of its way to do anything extra. They're already doing a pretty good job. So as long as they maintain or improve, I would say the outlook for this game is pretty good overall. Like I can't find too many things to really complain about unless I really start nitpicking. Like there's still a bug where if you're playing Chi-Chi and you're in the domains, she like halfway falls through the floor and you can't hit enemies. All right, whatever. You know, I can be patient with stuff like that. I don't want to be nitpicky and whiny. But again, I have a pretty positive outlook for this game overall.
Dark, you got anything you want to add?
I was gonna say about the resin or the higher levels, I guess you could say. I'm currently AR 45, and I just hit it today, so just 40 plus basically. From like level 1 to like 20ish, people are like figuring out if they like the game, and then from like 20 to 30 is where you start getting into I don't really have anything to do. And then once you hit like AR 30 to 40 is like the drought. That's like there's literally nothing to do. How do I level up? But I will say I haven't been bored like at all doing like anything, like running around, whether I was fighting, you know, mobs, doing dungeons, domains, whatever you want to call them. As far as what I would do to like prolong the gameplay, you know, my friends would help me grind my, you know, domains. Then I'd help a friend grind, and then we'll help another one because we all had different things to grind. And so like it would take all day to pretty much get through everybody's resin and stuff like that, unless we had the same stuff to grind. And I mean, you know, we would run around, help each other find chests, stuff like that. And it really made the gameplay last a lot longer than it would had I been just playing by myself. Which, I mean, you know, not everybody has people to play with all the time. But I don't think there was ever a time where I was bored of the game so far. So
yeah, it's definitely not gotten boring. Like even with there not being any quests to do, the exploration is still pretty top notch, and there's still some areas that I haven't fully discovered yet. So I'm sure that if I really combed the entire map, you know, there'd still be some stuff I could find. With that being said, they're adding, what, at least 6, 7 more regions to the game overall at a minimum with, you know, each corresponding element. So the map is going to be pretty substantial. Like I said, I'm not bored of the game by any means. It's just, you know, it is a games as a service. There's going to be a pace. There's going to be content release. It's going to continuously be growing and updating. So you have to kind of play it with a somewhat of an understanding of how those types of games work. Like, you know, there's other good and bad examples that we could, you know, talk about, like, you know, Destiny, who did it really well in the beginning, and then games like Anthem did it extremely poorly. I think Genshin is definitely on the higher end of the spectrum of companies and games that are doing it pretty well right now. Like, again, I don't have too much negative stuff to say, except for, you know, bad drop rates on 5 stars. Beyond that, game is awesome.
All right, let's go ahead and head into the questions real quick. If you could pull up the first one, Nas.
Yeah, let me go ahead and do that. Actually, they're all going to be on screen. There's only 3 of them, so they're all going to be on screen at the same time. So we can just kind of go from top to bottom. Whenever you're ready, they should be up.
Sorry, I don't have them pulled up here.
Oh, I can read it out if you want then. First one's coming from Divine Lotus. from Twitter. Again, you guys, before I read, let me preface this by definitely give our 5-9 Gaming account a Twitter the follow. If you want to post any of your questions, this is directly where we sample them from for not only this Genshin podcast, but also Dokkan and Legends. So if you want to see something pop up on screen, this would be your best bet. We can't really keep up with all the YouTube comments. They are overwhelming. But Twitter, we will be able to sample for your questions. So again, jumping into the first one from Divine Lotus. 5-9 Gaming, if we ever get a collab, I'm assuming with another game or anime, manga series, any other IP, what would you guys want a collaboration with? We'll start with you, Professor, since you're the host.
Oh, well, I'm not 100% sure. We've seen them do a lot of anime crossovers with stuff like Grand Cross. So I don't know, maybe like Attack on Titan or something, since that's pretty hype, or I don't know. I can't see Dragon Ball or anything in a world like Genshin, so there's not too many cutesy animes I could really put in here. Maybe Sword Art.
Yeah.
But
Toei and Shueisha characteristically does not share, so likely. And we also have to remember, you guys, to preface this game is not actually anime or Japanese at all. It is a Chinese game, so there is that extra layer of negotiations that would have to go on for them to collaborate with anyone. You can keep going, Professor. Otherwise, I can finish with mine and we can move on to other.
Yeah. No, you guys can talk about the collabs you'd like to see, but yeah, currently I'm really into the Attack on Titan franchise. So if they're going to break the wall and say you summon someone from another universe, that's probably where I would end up going. I can't see them collabing with any games like Brave Frontier or something like that, But no, it would definitely be interesting. I'm definitely looking forward to stuff like that in the future.
Yeah. go ahead, Darkseid.
Oh, no, well, I've thought about this since the game first released, and then we see Child, and we see Zhao and all these characters, but Fate would be the perfect collab, and I say that because 100%. My favorite character in Fate is Archer, and Archer has a bow, but then he has double daggers. Child is the same exact character, where he has a bow and then he can go into melee with double daggers. You have, spear users. You have Saber, who could have a great sword. You have people. There's just it's just so many similarities between Fate and Genshin. I feel like that would be the perfect collab to have with the game. Literally, perfect.
I mean, you two stole what I was going to say, basically. God damn it. I was going to say Attack on Titan because imagine the 3DM gear. You can just... The exploration...
Oh, no. Just going right up the mountains.
Insane. And Fate, as you mentioned, having Gilgamesh or, Artorial or, whatever they decide to implement would be amazing. Again, I doubt Fate because Fate is obviously in itself is a huge franchise and they've rarely collaborated with people. But again, very good idea. Since you two have stolen my two things, I'm going to probably go for... I'd say Sword Art Online, I guess, would be my third best option, I suppose. Because again, Dual Sword Kirito would be unique, kind of similar to what Child does. So I'd back that. Having Asuna as well in the game would be dope, especially her angel form. Instead of having gliders, maybe she'll have her sort of wings in itself, maybe. Yeah, no, I think Sword Art has some cool concepts and some cool characters that we can work with, Alice as well. But yeah, my two first options were Fate and Attack on Titan, which you guys still got, damn it.
Given how Netmarble is also, with their Korean-based company, they could eventually, work with someone like MiHoYo. So you could eventually see a Grand Cross crossover as well. You never know. As well as it's seeing something like Attack on Titan. Imagine just playing as a Titan and just walking around, or just seeing Titans walking around the world. That'd be insane in itself.
Well, I feel like they staged the game to allow stuff like that to happen.
I mean, you'd think basically what they'd have to do is basically take the Rune Guard model, make it a lot taller, make it a bit more unstable in terms of how it moves, and you're good to go basically, I think, with that.
I think it's fun. Anything that adds more characters and playstyles to a game like this. When I was telling people before Genshin came out why I was so excited for it, I was looking at the gameplay and I was just imagining the power creep. And typically you wouldn't be excited for power creep in a game like this, but we already got Venti making updrafts. What happens when we can just straight up fly, You mentioned the 3D gear. I feel like they could just go crazy here in the next few years, and I really want to see what happens.
Another thought to the collaboration, Honkai Impact, since it's their other IP.
Yeah,
definitely we'll probably eventually see that.
That's what I was going to mention when I got to my answer. The fact it's like Dragon Ball Heroes and Xenoverse, right? The same company owns both the rights to those games. They make both of them, so it's as simple as them walking down the hallway and being like, "Hey, we're going to borrow some of your stuff for our game," and then they'll be like, "All right, cool." So I would expect that would be like the most realistic one that we would see first. Would be like Honkai Impact. Because, again, it is a Chinese company, so it might be a little bit harder for them to negotiate getting some of these crossovers. But if we're going to go full-blown ridiculous, I would love to see when Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 comes out, give me a crossover with Cloud Strife in this game. I would love to see that. And then if we're going full-blown ridiculous and full meme, let's put Link from The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild in the game.
Oh my gosh! When it comes out on Switch, you can get the Master Sword and the full tunic as an outfit.
Yes.
Breath of the Wild is my favorite game of all time. So if that was to happen, I would have to make Constellation Link.
That would be the biggest olive branch from Nintendo ever.
Meta game of meta games.
Yeah, I mean, it's already his game, right?
Then I'd be like, this is awesome.
They give you a Breath of the Wild skin for the Breath of the Wild skin.
Pardon my language, but that's a huge middle finger to everybody who's been complaining. Literally, that would be hilarious.
Oh my god!
Nintendo they're already not mad at the game. They're allowing it to launch on their platform at some point. So why not go full meme with it? Like, it's his game, put him in it, right? Let's do it.
What were you saying, Dark?
No, I was just saying Zelda could be a Catalyst user, Link one-handed sword,
Ganondorf Claymore,
Ganondorf two-handed sword, from Smash Bros. Type of deal. They want to put that in there. There's a lot of different characters that you could definitely go about having in the game. So that's definitely cool too.
Real quick, pivoting back to the Honkai reference. Do we know if this is the same world or not?
It's an alternate universe from what they've been saying. As far as I know, they've been like, it's an alternate universe. It's an alternate universe. So it's possible they could just kind of merge the universes into one, and for a collab specifically.
Something else that I was
gonna say for.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say for Link, he could actually be switching between all types of weapons. Bows, heavy swords, single-handed swords. Not to mention, if they ever introduce something like a mount in the game, give him the bike from the DLC.
No, you give him a Pona.
It's a bike from the DLC would be funnier though.
Well, I'm just thinking about how hard people would wail out for Link if he was a limited time banner.
Oh, it would be nuts. Even I would probably toss a few bucks to try and get him. But another thing we need, and I don't know how this would specifically work with a crossover, but we see some of the Fatui guys with their rifles. We don't actually have any type of gunslinging character in the game yet. Something like a Desperado type of dual pistol revolver type spinning character, I think would fit nicely. I mean, you could even do Vash the Stampede or something, and I would be all over that for sticking with the crossovers. But yeah, so we know the guns are in the game, but we don't have a character on our end that uses them yet. So I think that would be a good addition to the game as well.
Bro, the gunslinger from Mortal Kombat.
Oh, Aaron Black.
Imagine.
Aaron Black would fit in this game great. Yeah, he'd be like, "How did I get into this reality?"
Yo, bring Scorpion into the game. I'd like to use his weapon in this game. That'd be fun.
Right,
I think the thing is with the guns part, they could do it. It's not impossible. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, Dragalia had bow units for the longest, and now they've brought in gun as a weapon type. So I don't see it being impossible. It's very much possible they might add it down the line.
Given how this game is, they wouldn't make a gun that goes bang bang. It'd be more like pew pew. You know how they took Barrel Dragon and Yu-Gi-Oh and made him like a plasma cannon?
Yeah,
it'd be like that.
Yeah, I definitely think that. I mean, just based again off those Fatui snipers that you come in contact with, it already has a place in the game. So let's work with it.
The thing is, people would imagine it being actual bullets, but they won't. It will just be elemental shots more than actual bullets. I think that'll be the case with. That
totally reminds me of Outlaw Star and the caster shells and the caster gun.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, basically that would be what I was thinking of. Basically, yeah.
Well, that kind of segues us to the next Twitter question. Coming from Don Dre is, what is our favorite elemental reaction? So far, I'm enjoying Swirl. How are you feeling, Hydros?
Favorite elemental reaction?
Yeah, which one are you
my favorite
using?
one to use currently is obviously my favorite character so far to use is Razor. So I do what is it, the overload damage with fire and electric. So that's pretty much my favorite go-to combo. Because I don't have any 5 stars except for Mona, so that's pretty much all I can really do. Maybe I can like make characters wet and then electro damage them, but that's a whole innuendo in itself. But yeah.
Well, for me, supercharged or not supercharged, the super conduct. There it is, super conduct easily. I run a physical damage build on my Beto, and she hits for like 9k, 10k off of crits. It's just insane. So yeah, super conduct is easily my favorite with Chi-Chi. So
Yeah, I gotta build up my Badoo.
Yeah, same. I have to get. I want to work on her, but I'm trying to work on everybody else as well to try and get them to
Did
80
you just
before.
call her Badoo?
Badoo.
This ain't
Shaking my
Pokemon.
head.
Badoo. Next thing we know, she evolves into Roselia.
Isn't that a type of toilet?
No, that's a bidet.
It's a
That's a
bidet.
bidet. That's a bidet.
Oh,
No, but I kind of agree. I think superconduct probably is the most damaging one, but I'd say the most fun one I'd say is probably Swirl, just throwing especially Venti's ultimate,
yes.
just getting them all thrown in together in one like mixture, and then throwing like maybe Klee's bomb or throwing in like officials like Burden or Oz, I think its name is, and just electrifying it. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, I'd say probably supercharge or superconductor, sorry, or overload would be my favorite ones as well. In terms of just pure damage, those two are great.
My
Imagine having
usual
Venti.
team is Fire, Ice, Wind, so I generally go off the Venti. You saw like some people that were watching the stream like saw me do it a little bit. I'm right there with you, and I like the little hidden awesome win about that combo is that it actually physically lifts up all the loot and deposits it in one spot, right where the tornado was in the middle. So it makes collecting all the loot when you kill stuff a lot easier too.
That's definitely a nice little plus when you just kind of walk over and spam F really quick.
Yeah, like Venti is useful for so many different like little nuanced like aspects of the game, from traversal to just getting all the enemies corralled in one spot so you can nuke them with somebody else. I mean, definitely is an amazing support character. So yeah, I've been enjoying his combinations. And then Lightning Ice is another great one, like everyone else had mentioned also. Having Official and Chi-Chi together has made for some fun chain lightning effects. So yeah, but Oz can get ridiculously strong when you start getting dupes into Official. So it's definitely great to just pop her out, throw the bird, then switch back to your DPS, have elemental reactions just going left and right. Because if you use the free Barbara, she just has water that swirls around you constantly, even after you swap her out. If you use the free Zhang Ling, you can just throw the spear, and it'll be constantly fire and water spinning around you as you swap to a third character. If you have Official from the banner where she was boosted previously with Venti, you can throw the bird and then switch to your DPS. You'll have all of your elemental reactions going at the same time. So you can do some pretty interesting stuff with those passive support characters.
All right, and we got Dark. Is something you want to add? I saw your mic light up. I'm sorry. All right.
No.
All right. Well, the last question is coming from Maxi Do. Sorry for butchering your name. 59 Gaming. If you were the person to decide the 5-star rates, what would the rates be? I personally I feel the rates are fine. I would just like something interesting from 3 stars. I think that we're playing a gacha game, and part of the hype of seeing a 5-star unit fall from the sky is that you don't see that very often. If everybody was 5-star, then just don't play a gacha game, right? At that point, you need the rarity. In fact, I'm kind of hoping they add a 6-star unit at like 0.1, just keep it stupid rare. Like that's the kind of stuff that makes the summons hype, in my opinion, and that's what makes the 3 stars kind of suck. How do you guys feel, Hydros?
Make it 100%.
Yeah, I'm with Hydros, bro.
No.
Honestly, the game is great. I love a lot of gacha games are super fun and awesome, but gacha just plain sucks, man. Like If I'm paying for something, let me just pay for what I want. Like, I understand the gambling, the addictive nature of it, all that, but I hate gacha. But I like the game, so I just suck it up and deal with it.
I feel like if they did that, remember that quote unquote leaked like increased rates that they did for the
bonding fate
system
and stuff. Yeah,
take the bonding fate crap out, but leave the characters in there and stuff. But that pity system would have been so much better, and I feel like that would incentivize a lot of people to actually keep summoning, even if they kept the rates the same. Maybe increase it to maybe like what is it? What it's like what 0.6 for.
Yeah.
What is the rate for
point?
Yeah, just put it up. Put it up to 1%. Just make it 1%. Maybe 2.
Yeah.
Maybe 2.
Yeah.
But anyway, get that pity system. That pity system, people would probably spend a lot more often.
Honestly, I think I agree. I think the pity system maybe drop it down to around 6 multis, 7 multis instead of 9. 9 is a bit much. Maybe 5. I think is perfect. I guess
even 8
because
on the weapons banner is kind of painful.
Yeah, 8 is quite harsh as well. But yeah, 5 or 6, it would be quite even as well in terms of like the number it is. Pretty to look at, I guess you could say. And yeah, no, make it 2%, I guess, and 1% for just a random one, and maybe a 1% chance for the rate up one. Something like that, I suppose.
So take weapon gotchas out of it. Stop making those. Those suck.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah.
That does really suck. Like, if they were to add cosmetics to the banners that could drop and just take weapon, like what? It's so insulting in an RPG when the weapons are on a gacha banner. Like, usually you play a boss, you get the drops, like you get new gear for your character, awesome. But then having all of the high tier weapons like be locked behind the banners, that's a really crappy feeling.
The weapons were behind like a gacha system. Like if it was behind like spending Mora to do a gacha instead, I would not mind that as much. Obviously, their games, Grand Cross has their equipment done like that. I know a lot of other games have stuff like equipment locked behind a gear gacha sort of thing. Just do that with the weapons. Don't make us spend premium currency for weapons, please.
Yeah, having like a free, and just comparing that for the Dokkan players, put the weapons on like a friend summon level banner in like Dokkan, where like you said, you can earn an in-game currency to summon on that, and then you pay for the characters. Then don't change the rates on the characters at all, but make the pity a little bit more generous, and then maybe throw out some sales every once in a while, kind of like other gacha games do. Then I think you have a winning system. I mean, I still hate gacha, but that would be a better system overall, I feel like.
Give us a Mora gacha. Give me a gacha where I can spend premium currency just to get some Mora.
Well, I think that I agree with you guys. I wish I could just pay them $30 and have Klee and all of her bells and whistles with $30, $60, whatever the heck they want to charge me. I don't like how vague it is with gacha games on how much you have to spend in order to fully appreciate the game. That being said, I think that the part of the hype of the gacha is the rarity of it, and I think it's not so much that we need to make the 5-star rates more accessible, but we need to not have it be a sea of useless crap and we're just praying for something actually interesting. I feel like they need to adjust the low tier prizes and make it to where that's still exciting to do a multi, because you're looking forward to those 3 stars even if it isn't the 5.
Yeah, 3-star relics in this game really are just completely, relics and weapons, they're just they fall off so fast to the point where they're just complete fodder.
I agree with Prof. I was gonna say like getting a 5-star is not gonna be near as like, you're not gonna be near as hype or happy about it if it's the norm. Like you're not gonna be hype about something that's great if you've never experienced what's not great, type of deal. But I do agree, number one, having like the other rewards are not near as good. Like realistically, anyone using 3-star weapons, they just don't have 4-star weapons. That's like bottom line. No one's going to be using that's it for that. And then the fact that they have weapons and characters, the 5 stars, and different banners is like it makes you have to split your currency. And then you're going to be getting, bad stuff on each banner. It's just all of that. So, I mean, the 5-star percent, I think it's fine. I mean, 1% is fine as well if they want to push it up to that. I don't think that needs to be changed. But it's just everything else around the 5-star I think is like,
So you just went for Wolf's Gravestone. I figured you would have appreciated the not the weapon banner itself, but the fact that they had it separated so you could hyper focus just that sword.
Well, yeah, like them having it rated up and everything is nice, but this is the thing, right? I summoned on Venti's banner and I summoned on the normal banner. And you can't get Wolf's Gravestone on Venti's banner. You could get it on the normal banner, but there's like 14 5-stars on that banner with, 5-star weapons rated up. So, like, if that banner never showed up, like the weapon banner with Wolf's Gravestone, I would have just never summoned on a weapon banner, ever. Type of deal. I only did it because of, like, how good the weapon is, and I get the, like, 80% boost to, like, my team. So, in multiplayer, when I'm playing with, like, 3 other people, they get that boost as well.
You're making me salty right now because I got this stupid book on my pity.
Well, I know an account where you can go use that weapon if you want.
No, but it's not my account.
Yeah. So like that, like I would have never went out of my way to do that had it not been rated up. It's basically a 50-50.
Because I kind of like the 50% chance to get it, and then you're guaranteed it on the next pull. It kind of makes me feel like I know I'm going to pull the character.
Yeah, but I'm gonna spend $150 more, and then I'm gonna get that book again. I'm gonna be.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say it's not 50-50 on that one because there's two things rated up, but yeah, like it being rated up was the only reason I went in for it.
Well, it can get up. The max it can get is 50-50 because I guess my understanding, your first summon on the banner, if it's not or any summon on the banner, if it's not one of the featured units, then your next pity is guaranteed to be one of the featured units.
Yeah.
So at that point it'd be 50-50, and I know I'm still gonna get dunked on. Because I pulled the spear last. So if I get to pity again, it has to be one of those two. $150 just to get dunked on with the book.
You gotta go to the Wolf's Gravestone site. Because like if you guys didn't know, Wolf's Gravestone sword is the same sword that you like activate to start the Wolf boss battle. Just go there. Go there and then summon.
Wow, just imagine if there were actual raid ups or something like that.
About to do that after stream.
I don't have $150. No.
I just think the idea of a weapon gacha in itself, just adding weapons to the gacha, just is a horrible idea.
Well, if the
idea of a gacha is to focus on characters. Weapons is cool, but everyone wants the character. No one gives a crap about the weapons, honestly.
Yeah,
at the end of the day,
they made it droppable.
Once you already have the character, then as you care about the weapons. It's like an afterthought.
Yeah.
Right, but that's still... I'd rather farm for a weapon. I'd rather do a boss battle over and over and over again, even if for a 1% chance to get the weapon as a drop, than have to summon for it. I'd rather farm for it and make me earn it that way, not by just earning it through my credit card number.
Well, I agree with you. I think, though, personally, I was really, really, really not looking forward to summoning weapons when I read that in the breakdown on what Genshin Impact was going to be. But when I saw how impactful these weapons were, how some of them have some pretty nifty animations to them, and that they can only take it further from there, I feel like you're going to be summoning an extra ability for your character, and that'll make the weapon kind of hype. Like Dark was talking about how his greatsword now buffs his entire party. I mean, there's characters that people are wanting to pull right now just to throw them on the field for a quarter second, use the E ability, and then swap out, right?
Yeah.
So I think that the weapons are kind of feel like a sub character, if you would.
Well, they make weapons for specific characters. Obviously, Wolf's Gravestone is obviously like Diluc's best weapon, most likely, and stuff like that. They make weapons tailored to specific characters. Put it on the specific character banner if you're gonna do it.
Yeah,
that way.
Yeah.
At least if you put Diluc on a banner and he's a raid up character, put the Gravestone also as a raid up weapon on his banner.
I agree.
Good idea.
That'd be way more. Cool. That'd be way better, at least, than having separate banners and going, well, now I gotta waste $150 on this banner when characters I don't even need. Like if you're no Lar here, but
If they were to do that, like imagine, right? Like they drop a Diluc banner with Wolf Gravestone rated up, and then like the 3-4 stars were like Razor, Beto, Chongyang, all greatsword users. So say you pull the weapon, but not Diluc, you still have a greatsword. That I feel like that'd have been way better than how they did it.
Yeah.
Just like a Claymore banner, all the 4-star Claymores, all the 5-star Claymores, and all the Claymore users.
Yeah.
It would make pulling these 3-star weapons when there's no other 5-star weapons on the banner much more meaningful, at least.
I don't feel like we're
at
gonna
least I'm
start
not
seeing
getting
that
all these
year.
crappy 3-stars, and then I'm just waiting for a 5-star character when there's no 5-star weapons on any of the banner. Like Venti didn't have weapons, did it?
No, Venti
Yeah,
only had
see,
4-star weapons.
yeah. Put the bow on his banner at least. I'd have been at least if I got a 5-star bow on his banner, I wouldn't have wanted to cry myself in tears because
Or
I
you pull the
spent
bow and not Venti.
$150. Well,
I
true,
think,
but at least I could use the bow on somebody else
yeah.
at the same time.
Fischl, you could use it on Fischl. Fischl was also right up on
Fischl,
the
Amber.
Amber,
No,
yeah.
Amber's kind of
She's a lighter, but she still
but-
exists.
Yeah.
Now, I was just gonna add on as well that something that would be appreciated, and this is more for whales than anything else, considering we're talking about like the buying crystals and stuff. The buy one get one free needs to reset every banner. I'm sorry, like it's cool that they had that the first time around, but they need to do it every banner because that's the best way to incentivize people to actually buy the thing. Because yeah, they have the bonuses still on it, but it's like what, it's super minor. Like the $100 pack gives you an extra 1,500 gems, and that's about it. The buy one get one free is definitely something they need to bring back for each and every banner, or whenever a banner resets or a new banner comes.
The one thing Grand Cross did right.
Yeah, the only thing Grand Cross did right, I can agree. I can attest to that.
Yeah, at least reset it every banner, not necessarily maybe every weapon banner at least, but every new character banner or event like type banner that uses the intertwined fade. Just reset it. Just do a one-time reset. Boom, you're done. That people will buy those left and right. BOGOs are on my favorite things. Yes. Everyone likes free stuff.
It jumps the value massively. It's double the value automatically. Like it's ridiculous. Yeah, they definitely need to do that. Apart from that, I mean, I agree with what everybody said. Like the weapon banner is a bit of a question mark still, in my opinion. I do believe they could fix that easily by, as mentioned, throwing them into the general pool. But yeah, it's just a very, very odd thing. Like I still feel like if they could just reduce the pity, I think that would be more than fine, because it's already a 1 in 2 chance of you getting, well, the character side, and then of course the weapon banner being also 1 in 2 technically because of double rate ups. As long as they reduce the pity, it would be, quite honestly, I think a lot of people would appreciate that more than anything else.
Am I not the only one that maybe wants maybe them to add like 3-star characters to the game? Just to not pull 3-star weapons constantly, at least.
Yes, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't
just
mind
make
if it was
like
like
not like
random...
super useless characters, but
No,
like some of the characters that we like in the game, not ones that are super hype, obviously. But like just throw one in here and there, just throw.
They could throw in like people like. They could throw in people like that Huffman character that's roaming around Mondstadt, or like some randomers like the guards and stuff that we.
Well, what about like upgrade materials? Just basic upgrade materials like at purple and stuff rarity that you'd get from wandering the world just to make your ascension to all your characters quicker. Like the Hillary troll item, because you're getting the swords and crap right now, and I don't want like a 4-star character. I feel like they're fleshing them out and they're making these really interesting characters, so I don't want throwaway characters. But if you're gonna give us a bunch of crap like this, what are we gonna do after your 20th multi of 3-star weapons?
Sell them like Nolar.
Yeah, they're just a currency, and they don't even they give the worst EXP for, like, if you're trying to sink blues into high level, like if you're over 60, 70, trying to upgrade your equipment. I mean, you might as well just be farting in the wind because they don't do anything. The blue crystals, EXP crystals, that's where it's at. But the actual putting blue weapons into your gear does almost nothing.
They need to make those crystals
for weapons
available stronger. On the. They need to let you use those crystals on artifacts, because good lord, I cannot stand leveling up artifacts. Make something different. Make something to level up artifacts without using other artifacts, please.
All right, I think we've gone through all the questions. Is there anything else you guys want to tack on tonight?
I think there's something about the 5-9 gaming account, and we're gonna stream it later on. I think Nolar mentioned that you want to talk about, Prof.
If NASA's down, we might be streaming on the 5-9 account on Twitch.
Yeah, I hadn't talked to Nolar, but that is generally the plan. We want to get some live stuff going pretty much every day. So I don't know what we're playing yet, be it Phasmophobia, Among Us, Genshin, something. But
I believe
what?
I believe it's wanting us to push the whale account tonight on Genshin.
Oh yeah, if we want to play that and do some co-op or something like that. I mean, whatever's entertaining, I'm down. I have something I have to do in the next 30 minutes, so it'll probably be in like, I don't know, an hour and a half or so. If you're cool with that, I'm down.
Yeah, if you guys haven't already joined our Discord and followed us on Twitter, we'll surely make an announcement about it here momentarily. Nas, I guess you want to plug all of that. We'll wrap it up right now.
Yeah, all the links are in the description of this video, so if you click the description down below, you can get them. But we do have the Discord up and running, so please consider joining that. As a nice little community of almost 1,000 people we've built in there so far. So if you get bored, you can always pop in there and try and find some new friends. And then as well, like Professor already mentioned, the Twitch channel has grown very substantially. Again, a huge thanks to Legion, who's still in the chat, not only for the $100 donation in the stream right here today, but also for his considerable contributions on our Twitch side of things. So lots of subs were gifted, lots of bits as well. We definitely appreciate him for that. And Twitch channel also linked down in the description, so check that out, give it a follow, and when we go live with tons of other variety content, it could be anything from Goresh playing Mario 64 to us playing Genshin, Phasmophobia, Among Us. You got Brad with the new Pokemon stuff, so tons of variations, diversity, and entertainment going on over there. We appreciate Darkskin Gaming as well for coming back to be a guest on the show. Hopefully he can come back again next week or in the future if he's not busy. And other than that, does anyone else have anything else they want to add?
No, nothing else. I think next week is going to be a bit of a... I mean, we'll have to see what happens next week. But 2 weeks from now, we're going to be getting the 1.1 update. So looking forward to covering that whenever it comes out. But yeah, apart from that, glad to be here as per usual, and glad to talk about Genshin as always.
Yeah, we didn't have too much to go over this week because we're still kind of stewing over the initial release of the game. But coming up here very soon, y'all, I have a huge feeling that next week's podcast is going to be bigger, and then the week after that, we'll have tons to talk about. So hopefully, if you're new around here, you've hit subscribe to 5-9 Gaming. Definitely go check out Darkskin Gaming on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube as well. Gale Riot, Hydros, and Professor Sensei. I think Gale and Hydros are more so YouTube, and then Professor Sensei is the Twitch king. So check us all out if you have the spare time. We appreciate each and every single one of y'all, and we will be seeing you again very soon for more content. Peace out, and have a great day.